Hey guys, this is Zachariah Bourne. I want to talk about something really important. And I wanted to share a little bit about this and change our perspective on this. When an ex didn't treat you well, it's a complicated thing. What's complicated is not what happened, but our beliefs about it. And here's what I mean by this. I want us to realize that we are in power. It's not the other person. We often think about what they did to us. Why didn't they treat me better? And it might have gotten bad, might have gotten really bad. I've experienced that personally in relationships. I think most people have at a certain point, and it doesn't feel good. It does not feel good. And that's an understatement for sure. But what I want to share is we always have more power than we realize. And we like to think that they're just doing it to us. But in truth, we have played such a bigger role in this than we are willing to admit. I know for me, that was definitely the case. It seemed like they were just treating me really badly. I'm treating them well. What's going on? It's all their fault. It seems like. And sometimes it kind of feels good or empowered to be angry at this person. But the truth is a little bit more complicated and nuanced. And the truth is this. They're just doing their own thing. Now, their own thing could be cheating. It could be lying. It could be whatever. It could be treating us very poorly, saying mean things. It could be just them going and hurting us, supposedly, by doing what makes them happy or what they want to do. And, and it makes a lot of people feel like it's difficult to trust. After having those experiences, difficult to trust. One tip is to not put yourself between someone and what they want. That's a surefire recipe for disaster. If you put yourself in between what someone wants, and you say, you're going to hurt me if you go and do what you want, whatever that is, you're going to be in trouble. So a lot of times we do that. Somebody wants to have sex with a lot of people, and we tell them that's bad and they shouldn't do that. And then they go and do it, for instance. Or whatever. There's a ton of things like that. And the point is for not for us to put ourselves in between. And that's one way to create more trust. And for a lot of people, they might say that sounds a little cynical. But it's not a negative thing. It's actually a very positive thing. And you just want to position yourself where you're not getting in between what, someone you really care about wants. You're not, because it's always a very difficult place to be. So if we can instead leverage ourselves and position ourselves so that we want similar things. What you want is what they want. And that's something to really look for when you choose a partner. And at the end of the day, we also have to think, we chose this person. We allowed them into our life. They also may not be able to control the way they treat you. And if they could treat you better, I really, truly believe they always would. Why? Because it feels terrible to treat someone badly. It does. It feels terrible to treat someone badly. And what do I mean? If they could treat you better, they would. I mean, obviously they could just treat you better, right? I mean, you just say nicer things, you'd be more kind. What I mean is this: their belief systems do not allow them to treat someone else better. Their belief systems don't. If someone thinks kindness is a weakness, they cannot treat you kindly, even though it would be better for them. But that belief system, which is probably deeply rooted, will not allow them to do that. And so if they could treat you better, I really believe they would. Also, I think a lot of the reason people treat someone not good is because is because their self-concept doesn't match the level of quality that you're at. They feel like they don't deserve how well you're treating them. That's an extremely common thing. And your sort of subconscious, that self-image will take over and will sabotage, will destroy, will not allow in something that is beyond what they believe they're worth. And so I think a lot of the people who treat people poorly is really because they do not feel they deserve it. And so they treat them poorly. I even did that to two people back in high school when I was dating, because I didn't feel worth it. And it was totally subconscious, and I couldn't even see it at the time. It's almost like your mind erases it. Have you ever tried to convince someone of how badly they treated you, and it's like they have no recollection of it? That's what's happening. It's really fascinating and bizarre when that happens. But then you can see it over and over and over again. And I was dating someone who was really wonderful, and I really wanted to, be with this person, and for the longer term at that time. And every time I talked about like something in the future with this person, it was this weird thing happened. An hour or two later, they would pick the most gigantic fight out of nowhere. And it was really fascinating thing to watch. Fascinating to watch. How it would just kind of come out of nowhere, and it happened like 7 times in a row. And then, they would all of a sudden be chasing alcohol and whatever. But we're not going to focus on that. But it's fascinating how this works. We really do not allow in greater than we think we deserve. And some people, they don't have control over that. They don't know how to change that. They don't have the personal development. They don't have the ideas that you are getting in order to shift and change that. But the point is, you can change yourself so you're not resonant with people who have those blocks, who have those things going on. And that's something that can really empower us. We are attracting what's going on in our life. We are focusing on it. We're creating it. We're allowing it. They're just doing their own thing, no matter what it is. And that was really tough for me to come to the realization of as well. I had maybe a very negative experience with an ex that hurt, more than anything at the time. But I really did come to realize they're just being them. And being mad at them and calling them names and saying they're terrible for all these reasons, even if to 99% of the population you would say that's totally true, the fact is I chose this person. And so being mad at them for doing whatever it is they do, that's on me, and that's a good thing, because now I'm empowered. I get to choose, and you get to choose. And so another really exciting thing is too, a lot of times what we think of as maybe someone treating us badly or abuse or whatever, and it's not something light. It's not something I'm taking lightly, of course. And we have to actually choose to allow their thoughts, their beliefs into our mind. Someone says that you're crappy, and you take that on, then it's going to lower you. It's going to lower your belief in yourself, how you feel about yourself. And that's the thing that usually happens, is it changes the way we feel about ourselves. But that doesn't have to be the case, because that's always up to us. And we don't need to put that key to our happiness in someone else's pocket. We don't need to put our own self-worth in someone else's pocket, in someone else's belief system. And it's a tricky thing to do when people are very up close to you. It can be tricky, for sure. But we need to move past that as a whole, right? We need to know that in ourselves, that our self-worth is not dependent on what anyone else thinks. It doesn't matter how much you care about them, how close you are to them. It does not matter. And if you put your beliefs about yourself in someone else's hands, you're always going to be disappointed, because they can never be what you need them to be. They can never believe all the things that you need to believe about yourself. They can never create the self-love that you need in yourself. They can't do it for you. And all the time we're running around hoping that someone else will love us so we can start loving ourselves. But that's crazy. That's crazy. That's like, it's one of the worst things you can do. It's one of the worst things you can do. So instead, what we need to do, we need to empower ourselves. Realize that this person, no matter how much we cared about them, and it's hard, it's difficult too, right? When you want someone so bad, we're not usually treated poorly once and then leave, which we could have. If our self-worth were really there and someone treats us really poorly once, we're not going to put up with that. That's going to be it. Maybe 2, 3 times. But by the time we get the 3rd, 4th time, definitely not. It's on us. It's not on them anymore. We can't blame them anymore for that. But usually, if we're really hurt, by the time we're calling them a narcissist and by the time we're calling them abusive, it's probably happened 100 times. But that's so many more than it needed to be. So many more. And it's like I said, it's difficult when it's someone you really care about, somebody you really want in your life. And a lot of times we get like this addiction to the emotions that we go through and we can't stop thinking about them because they treated us poorly. And then we're drawn to them again and we create this crazy cycle that is very not helpful. So what do we do to pull ourselves out of it? We have to take control of our mind. And we got to get off of it for a while until we can feel better. We got to make our happiness and our own well-being the most important thing. Always. Always. We have to do that. Because they may not have control. They maybe cannot treat you better. Like I said before, if they could, they probably would. So you got to step up. We have to step up ourselves and be like, my happiness is the most important thing. I'm going to focus on that. And then guess what? You're not vulnerable anymore. You don't need to be scared anymore. You don't need to, because you're in control. And you always have been. You just didn't know it. You just didn't know it. But now hopefully you do. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. Lots of love for you guys. If you did go through something that's really tough, I support you. And I know I've been through some really tough things, very difficult myself too. And I've heard some really crazy stories. But you got to get your mind off of it. You got to get your mind off of it. It's the only way. So lots of love and support for all of you guys that have gone through stuff. And I really hope you all look forward to the future, because the future is very bright. And there's always a equal and greater positive to every negative, really. Without a lot of these negative experiences with relationships, something that really kind of broke me at the time, I would not be in personal development. I would not be helping you guys right now. That's something that drove me to be so much more. And so there's always an equal and greater positive to every negative experience, no matter how bad it seems. There's always something greater. And it's up to you to discover it. And you do that by finding your happiness again. All right, again, thank you for watching this video. Check out my YouTube for more videos and my Instagram as well. Lots of love, really, that true good love to all of you guys. Have a wonderful one. Take care.